and Richard and I are going to be talking about community, building communities, how you can work with communities. Um, and Richard is the CEO of a company called GoBrunch, which is an interesting platform. And so while we're not pitching GoBrunch, It's interesting. Um, it was one of the reasons why I asked him to come on. Richard, before we get started, where can people find you?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, Richard Lowenthal. You just can search and probably will be, yeah, one of the first coming up.
So
Yes.
Richard, you got a background in education and in building communities. Tell us about it.
Well, yes, I actually ended up working with education by accident. I was unemployed in 2021 and was just, feeling a little bit frustrated, right? Because after many years of life, what exactly I'm doing wrong? And what happened is that I actually was speaking with one of my friends saying, hey, we need to find a way to network. We need to find a way to, speak with people and see if we can build a business out of nothing, right? And we ended up starting an association, and this was back to 2002, talking about e-business, right? Which was something that IBM was bringing back in time. And we started promoting conferences, and it actually worked really well. We started to promote conferences for different industries, and after a while my partner in 2007, my partner asked me, hey, I think we should start offering training programs. And I remember that I replied, no, you are absolutely crazy. And first of all, we don't have any background in education, and second, you and me, we've never been good students. Why we should pursue this career, right? But we ended up doing something like, building something really interesting. We built a business school, uh, teaching in a very practical way, and created a self methodology that is very interesting. And yeah, after a few years, like, yeah, we were offering master's degree program, and yeah, we ended up with 600 students per year, a lot of big conferences. But as every entrepreneur, at some point, it seems like, yeah, we need new challenges. And then I decided to step out to start GoBrunch, and that was the starting.
So what was the why did you start GoBrunch? Or what was it that you saw that people weren't actually providing? Because it's not a platform like Zoom or Teams, though it's kind of like it. It's not.
Yes, you are absolutely right, Tim. I was working from home and I was kind of feeling lonely. That was it, true, right? And I think working from home, it really is a little bit different. You don't have all these people surrounding you, and I was just participating in some webinars and just thinking, hey, I don't know, like this is not working. This is not exactly the way it should be. And now people are connecting online, and I was just figuring out different possibilities to offer um, a different experience. And yeah, and then I started to do some research, and I remember that I was kind of per- uh, immersive in some of these metaverses, and I saw some interesting possibilities, some interesting experiences. And I think ultimately my main purpose was to make people to feel like they were belonging somewhere. And then I created something that was a mix of a video conferencing with a small metaverse with a poker stars inspiration, right? Which, because the first room was like a top down table. And yes, and initially Go Brunch, I didn't have any immediate need for money. It was like an experiment, and everything was free. And after a while, we started to see, okay, let's see how people are using Go Brunch, and then we can start from there. Initially, it was more for webinars, and then the pandemic came, right? And that changed everything because we started to see a lot of schools using Go Brunch. And I think that was kind of a mistake, Tim, because I decided to pivot GoBrunch to education.
Mm.
And but by the time the schools went back in person, they simply vanished,
Yeah.
right? And then we had to find a new use case for us.
I think that for me, a lot of Teams, Zoom, and some of the programs before it, the Cisco product, um, was always based upon the fact that it's a bit like a lecture at a university or at school, which is there is somebody at the front and everybody else is sitting in chairs in front of you. And what you're going to do is that you're going to provide and give information, and they're all going to listen. Whereas Go Brunch is more about a community, isn't it? It's more about other people. Well, answer that. Answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I'm a very, very visual person. And the first time that I started visualizing GoBrunch, I was like, okay, it has to be something that reminds the real world, not exactly only like the video conference, because video conferencing itself, it's a little bit realistic because the face of the person is really big compared to the reality. And I was looking to, make something a little bit more immersive and a little bit more natural. And here's the community component that you mentioned. The main benefit of using GoBrunch is that people feel they belong to a place. And let's say, for example, you want to create your room in GoBrunch. First of all, you don't have to start a session. You just need to build a room and be there once you are online. And then let's say you have I can see that you have a beautiful room with a lot of books. You can build the same kind of experience in your GoBrunch, something that resonate your personality, right? Or your personal branding. And then once people join your room, they feel, oh, this is Tim. I can feel that, right? And after that, they start to feel like they belong the place because they are next to you in a place that, yeah, they feel comfortable and way more pleasant. Yeah.
Because one of the things, because it was Keith Keller in Melbourne and Australia who connected us. Keith had been using GoBrunch for a little while, and Keith has come down, has kind of come down through we went onto Clubhouse, and which was about social audio. It wasn't visual, but what it wasn't necessarily was me standing at the front and talking. It was, you can get audiences could put their hand up and ask to come onto the stage, and you could end up being on a stage with lots of people. And I know Keith has been doing a lot of work with social audio on LinkedIn as well. So this idea, I mean, he came to me and said, you've got to look at this product GoBrunch, and you've got to interview Richard, because what we're seeing is it's not Teams, it's not Zoom, it's a visual type of Clubhouse and social audio where we're bringing people together and we're allowing people to talk, but in a visual way. Do you understand what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, what is interesting is that, Clubhouse definitely did something that helped us, right? Because
Hmm.
I think what Clubhouse did differently is make sure that people would feel a little bit more special because you can see everyone who's in the room.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it created like a kind of a culture that it now is extending to LinkedIn, which is every time someone join, you acknowledge this person. You say, hey, thank you for joining, right? Which should be something natural everywhere. And I taught this to my professors in my business school. Hey, you have to acknowledge every student all the time. You have to say their names all the time. And Clubhouse created this kind of culture. And what Keith started liking about GoBrunch is that, first of all, he was facing issues on LinkedIn initially.
Hmm.
And I raised my hand and said, hey, this is normal in video conferencing. And he asked me, how do you know that? I said, because I have a video conferencing platform. And he said, well, what is the name? Oh, it's GoBrunch. And we jumped to GoBrunch. And he was just, getting crazy because, okay, this is amazing. I can change my background and I can have my audio events, but in addition to just like the black screen, I can do everything I want. I can even embed my buy me a coffee here for people to, yeah, donate for me. And it's very, very interesting. And then he created like a radio station with 5 rooms inside of it, right? And it's super cool because every meeting that we have, every session, it is in a different place. It is in a different room that resonates, right? And say, hey, this is. And one time he sent me a picture of himself when he was 16 years old,
Yeah.
and I added this picture on the wall of one of these rooms, and he was like, whoa, yeah, this is really brings like, yeah, personal memories, and everyone was enjoying.
Because I know that I mean I think that Clubhouse was really important in the evolvement of social media because it changed the way that we looked at things from being just broadcast to being, let's allow the audience, if there's someone that wants to talk, let them raise their hand and talk. And I think that in the process of building communities, which is what part of this is about, too many people think, someone came to me recently and said, oh, we're going to build a community. And all they want to do is basically, we're going to get people together and then we're going to try and sell them stuff, which, it's the worst thing that you can try and do about a community because it doesn't work. But this seems to be a really great place where you can get people to talk, form human connections and build communities.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And it actually started, I think, in 2021. There was this lady from Canada, Marissa Lewin, and she started to have an idea. Hey, I want to build a community, but I don't want to build something traditional. I want to build something different. And she created a room in GoBrunch and started to invite people over. After that, what happened is that people started to promote the space because it was a very interesting place for people to connect and feel like they were part of a community. And why people join the spaces? Because they want to get support. And you cannot get enough support in text. It's very, very difficult for you to get support in text, right? In this type kind of text communities. And it's very difficult for you to get support if you're having 30 minutes mentoring coaching or session. And then what she created is like a 24/7 room where people can get support at any time. She has like official working hours or co-working hours, and she has more than 100 members, right? And she built her entire business model on top of GoBrunch. And members, people start joining her rooms because they want to get support. They want to feel the energy of people working around. And many of them, they are working from home, right? And
Yeah.
this is definitely necessary these days. And this was the difference because, again, it's not like a 30 minutes, 1 hour session. You join there at any time and you can stay whenever you want.
Yeah, because then one of the things that is that you're restricted with social audio is the fact that I'm going to run it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you have to be available at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to attend it.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And again, this definitely creates that deep feeling of belonging, and that's what I would say the main, let's say the main benefit that I see in GoBrunch. Because first of all, you can customize your rooms, right? You can have multiple rooms inside your building, inside your space. You can have like a meditation room. You can have a room that, reminds you a resort or anything that you have in mind for your members to feel like hey, this is the new experience that you're going to have today, right? And it's super engaging, super interactive. This is the first one. The second one, yeah, is this you don't have the time limit. You don't have these constraints of time that definitely creates pressure,
Mhm.
right? Definitely creates pressure. Hey, I don't know if I'll be able to express myself in 30 minutes. I don't know if I'll be able, especially for introvert, neurodivergent, they need some time to start feeling comfortable speaking with their audience.
Mhm. Human relationships are difficult, aren't they? Regardless of whether you're introvert or extrovert,
Yeah,
and actually having a place to allow people to go to form relationships, and ultimately build that community is important.
that's definitely important. That's definitely important. And I think, I have seen many cases, people kind of frustrated with Facebook groups or this different text group format, and they are looking, hey, how can I make my community to engage more? And then you can think about, Tim, how many communities you join, and then people just say welcome to you, and then you introduce yourself, and then you just join one or twice, right? Because you just want to see what is happening, but you never come back because there's nothing that you find useful, right? And that's, I think, one of the main problems that we're facing right now with communities, because social media is not a community, right? LinkedIn is like a place for you to network, but it's not a community. You don't feel like you belong to that place. And that's, I think, the difference between, yeah, creating a virtual space with your branding where people definitely feel comfortable inside of it, and just feeling like, you are in a world that of social media that is, you just have to comment, or yeah, it's, there's no actual sense of belonging.
And I think one of the things that Keith wanted to, he has a Keith doesn't Keith isn't selling anything. He isn't. He's semi-retired. I think he'd probably say he was retired, and therefore, what he's asking for is he uses buy me a coffee to say, if you're getting value from this, then just buy me a coffee. And if 100 people do that, then there's 100 times amount for a coffee. Um, so he's not seeing this as a way of monetizing, or this isn't about coming to a community and what I'm going to do is you come to it for free, but then I'm going to try and sell you my leadership course or something like that. So it's interesting the way that he's running the community for free. He's using buy me a coffee as a way of saying, uh, I mean, how do you see that working?
Yes, and again, I think it's, he found GoBrunch as a very useful resource for him to, first of all, gather people he loved, right? Because he's a person who loves to be surrounded with people. He loves to listen to what they have to say, and he has a very natural talent of connecting ideas, right? And that's why, yeah, he loved joining, and then more people are joining, and yeah, and he starts, promoting these people. It's a very interesting world, right? Not to mention that you have the ability to connect the worlds and connect the creators. And right now, many of people that he initially brought to GoBrunch, they have their spaces,
Mm.
and then he started to say, okay, next meeting, let's do in your space.
Yeah.
And then let's say if the person is loves a certain topic, right? The next time you definitely can understand that because you're inside their space, and you can definitely see, oh, I see this person likes blue, I see this person likes books, or this and that. And every session you definitely have a different experience.
So what's the future, Richard? What do you think? Where do you think this is going to go?
Yeah, for us, we think that every individual in the world, they should have a GoBrand space. It's just like your website,
Mm.
because you have the ability to have your website, but you have the ability to add people inside of it, to interact with them, right? And if you are a content creator, for example, in social media, and you are struggling with, you have a lot of followers, but okay, how can I engage with these people? How can I create something that definitely resonates as a community? Yeah, GoBrunch is a very, very interesting aspect. Right? You can have like an Apple store inside of it, right? To provide support live, or anything that you like. And that's what we envision for the future.
It sounds very exciting. And so, where can people find GoBrunch? I know it sounds like a.
Yes, well, it's simple, gobrunch.com.
Mm.
And then you can find information over there. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on YouTube with a lot of videos, a lot of tutorials, or even we have a channel that is called Tasty Menu, where we showcase what people, or we call like our brunchaholics, what they're doing in Go Brunch,
Okay.
right? And yeah, and then of course, hope that more people start to build their spaces, because again, it's a very creative exercise that you do. Some people say, I don't have this enjoyable moments since I was playing with Barbie, right? And it's really cool.
So, Richard, thank you so much for coming on and talking about communities and the changes that are taking place, and talking about GoBrunch as well. Remind people where they can find you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me
You're
here.
welcome.
They can definitely find me on LinkedIn, Richard Lowenthal. Connect with me. Yeah, follow me. I'll always sharing my ideas, and yeah, hopefully we can collaborate somehow.
And they can also go to GoBrunch.com.
Exactly. GoBrunch.com. They get into my website. They can find me as well.
Excellent.